My wife finished her glass of wine and poured a second glass while we sat on our terrace enjoying the beautiful spring evening. I blew out a large cloud of cold smoke and watched it flutter in the wind. "I'm not going to Chicago next month, Joe." I looked at her in surprise. For the past 10 years, she has been shopping in Chicago twice a year, one on Memorial Day and the other on the weekend after Thanksgiving. She liked to spend my money on the Magnificent Mile or wherever fashionistas went shopping in those days. "And why is that?" She looked away. "I just don't want to do this. Since the kids left home for college, I thought we could go on a trip together." I shrugged. "That's nice, Chelsea, but I already booked a golf trip to South Carolina." On the days when she went shopping in Chicago, I always went somewhere to play golf. In truth, I knew that her trips to Chicago were not just for shopping. She had a lover who took her shopping twice a year under the pretext of going to Chicago. She was completely faithful to me for the rest of the year. Trust me, I checked everything thoroughly. I shouldn't have been surprised that she had no intention of leaving now. Her lover had died in a botched robbery attempt at his jewelry store a month earlier. The idiot should have just let the guy take what he wanted and live out the rest of his life. This idiot thought he could pull out a gun and kill the robber. No. The good guy with the gun gets shot in the head before he shoots the bad guy with the gun. He wasn't such a nice guy, though. After all, he was fucking my wife. "Well, maybe you could cancel your trip?" I shook my head. "Then I'll go with you." "I don't think my golf partner would like it." "Who are you going with?" she asked, and was struck by the realization that she had never asked who I was traveling with before. It's time to... I decided that I would put an end to the charade she started with her lover many years ago. "With Aaron." She dropped her glass. Luckily, we used plastic glasses when drinking outside. That didn't stop the expensive Chardonnay from spilling on the table. "Aaron?" she whispered. "My best friend, Aaron?" I nodded and took another drag on my cigar. A tear rolled down her cheek. "How long has she been going with you on your trips?" I sighed. "From the very first time." She tried to hide her emotions but failed. "Do you have a constant connection with her?" "No, not permanent," I admitted. "We get together only twice a year. We kept each other company while you went to Chicago with her husband." Her tears increased and she fought back her sobs. Her hands shook as she tried to pour more wine. I took the bottle and poured it for her. "Did you know from the very beginning?" "Yes." I nodded and took a deep breath. I was ready to talk, but I thought that she would try to hide her betrayal by continuing the trip this year. Not going on a trip after her lover died was a big red flag. "But I won't go again," she pleaded. As a matter of fact, Aaron and I discussed that we could stop too. In fact, everything changed at Alan's funeral. It was at that moment when you had a fit of sobs at his coffin. When you punched the coffin and screamed, "Why, God, why?" That's when we decided to keep our plans for joint trips. I do not remember this. I shrugged. You probably don't remember much at all from that day. It's not surprising, considering the bottle of wine you finished before we left the house, the 4 martinis you drank at lunch, and how much more you drank at home after that. You passed out pretty early. "I didn't mean to disrespect you." I laughed. "Seriously? Forget about the funeral. You fucked your best friend's husband for 10 years, but you didn't want to disrespect me. You're delusional." "How do you know?" I noticed that she did not apologize or ask for my forgiveness. "Oh, that was easy. He told his wife that there was a diamond show in Chicago that he was going to attend that first time. It was actually a happy accident that Aaron mentioned to me that he would be out of town. I'm not sure if you remember, but we invited them to a barbecue. You ordered another drink and he went to the bathroom. Aaron was just making small talk with me." My wife shook her head in disbelief. "Yes, and as soon as she said he was going to Chicago, I told her about your shopping trip to Chicago. She was surprised that you didn't invite her to join, and at that moment we understood why you didn't. I thought we hid everything so well." "Alan traveled so often." I shrugged. "No, you were actually quite careless. You should have chosen a place that actually had a diamond exhibition. And to think that you could go on a trip on the same weekend as her husband twice a year, every year, and not raise alarm bells in our heads was just stupid. You never said anything. We thought everything was fine. It's just your arrogance and disrespect. Neither you nor Alan bothered to ask who Aaron and I went with on our trips. It really shocked us. You cared so little about this that you never wondered what your stupid husband was doing. It's not true, she said quietly. We talked about what you're doing. It never occurred to us that you were leaving together. It's funny, Chels. We thought we were caught 3 years ago. Your flights were delayed, she frowned. I nodded. She added, we stayed 1 more day, and it never occurred to me that the snowstorm was the reason you both stayed overnight. Would you believe Aaron and I were worried and almost canceled our trip for Memorial Day next year? But you and Alan acted as if nothing had happened and continued with your plans as usual. What now, Joe? Good question. Honestly, after you embarrassed me at the funeral, I intend to get a divorce. She gasped. Oh, don't pretend to be so surprised, loving wife. Aaron and I put up with your affairs because we comforted each other while you broke your vows. I never imagined you'd fall in love with this piece of shit. It didn't happen right away. I'm so sorry. She burst into sobs and rushed into the house. I texted Aaron, all cleared up. Her response was immediate. I'm waiting. I put the phone in my pocket and the cigar in the ashtray and took a deep breath. Chelsea wasn't the only one to fall in love with her regular lover. It's time to organize the rest of my life, and Chelsea is not included there. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.